All right, take one. Welcome to the Courageous Recovery Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Mortensen. This is a weekly 25 to 30-minute program where we provide answers for your I don't know how. Whether you're dealing with recovery issues, emotions from a loss, or maybe life is just throwing you one more curveball than you were expecting, I'm so glad that you're here. You're going to be blown away by just the wisdom and the passion of my guest Anna today. And it's always great to see that we have people joining the video broadcast as well as the audio only on the various podcast outlets, but from not only coast to coast, but from around the world. If you're watching this or listening to this on an area where you have a subscribe button, please take 2 minutes and hit subscribe. Also, leave comments for us. We hugely value your feedback and your insights here. For more information on the work that I do, you can go to my website, which is randymortensen.com. That's Randy, last name Mortensen, Mortensen. Later in the show, I will mention the 21-point assessment that's on the front page there. That's a tool to determine whether you or a loved one qualifies for one of my programs called the Lifestyle Champion Cohort. So, Anna, thank you for taking time from your busy schedule to join me today. I need to figure out where my mouse button is here. There it is. Okay, so all these button clicks are just nuts. But thank you for joining me today, Anna, with your bright smile. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you, Randy, for inviting me. Thank you.
Absolutely. So anybody who's listened to my show, one episode or more, knows that my usual first question is, what is it that you know today that you wish your 22-year-old self would have known?
That depression is a fixable condition.
Wow. That was quick. Depression is a fixable condition. Okay. And so let's dig a little deeper into that. How has that realization come to you?
That realization came to me when I overcame my own 27 years of depression at the age of 38. And I suffered for 27 years and I got out in 7 months, right? So what I do today is actually two different things. First, I help people overcome depression if they are suffering from it, right? That's the first thing we do. And the second thing, we're helping teenagers and young adults prevent depression ever. So they will never have this again. And that takes only about 6 weeks.
Wow. That's brilliant. Brilliant. And just the headline that I saw on your website, you deserve to live the life that you desire. That's just brilliant. Just the adage that is stated there. And let's share with the audience a little bit of, you had some abandonment issues at a young age, and had a mom that and dad that were struggling. You even had a suicide attempt at 19. Let's go back and who is Anna in the teen years and into your 20s? How's that?
So I was born in Eastern Europe in a family of a single mother situation, which was a big shame at that time, right? Because there were not too many single motherhood situations. I was abandoned by my father, right? And since the age of 7, I developed signs of not being able to smile, like not even in a picture. And it was kind of odd, right? Why doesn't a 7-year-old smile in a picture, right? By the age of 12, I already knew that I was really, really sad in all sorts of points, right? I was looking only into the ground when I was walking. I had S-shaped scoliosis. I couldn't sit down in the classroom. I had to stand to write because of so much back pain. So all these things happened to me until at the age of 19, when I lost it and I tried to kill myself. My mother was a very famous teacher in town, was also an alcoholic. So for me, it got that confliction, right? That confliction. Should I love my mom? Should I hate my mom? Should I blame my mom? Should I not blame my mom, right? So deep inside, I was trying to save her, to try to help her to not drink. I was the best at school. I was doing all of these, even if I had migraines and fibromyalgia and headaches. And it was like, it was never good enough. I was never good enough for her to stop drinking, right? So all this confliction ended up in my life. So after I realized that I have a problem, my mom is still an alcoholic, I'm still suicidal, this is not good, right? Okay. At the age of 20, I went to university and I studied psychology. So I joke today because I got in as a chicken and I got out as a cow with no tools, with no tools, okay, but with a lot of books in my belly, okay, because this is the truth, right? So I couldn't pursue a profession because the truth is that I was as suicidal as my clients. Okay. And I said, what are we going to do? We're going to meet on the bridge who jumps first. Okay. This is not okay. This is like the depressed psychologist. Okay. So this is not okay. So I pursued different professions. I moved to America and I went through life like a warrior, like absolutely a warrior. Developed a lot of medical conditions, including pre-NASH, non-alcoholic liver hepatitis, pre-diabetes. I was overweight, 234 pounds. I ended up with 2 hernias of disc, and my son was helping me from the couch to the bathroom because I couldn't get off the couch and walk to the bathroom. And that was all until the age of 38, until I also discovered that I have a gene connected to depression, 33 diseases and cancers. And this is the gene that killed my mom overnight at the age of 55.
Wow.
So I said,
Wow.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when did you discover that gene?
38-year-old. I was a single mom myself with a 9-year-old home, and I could have died overnight from this particular gene.
Interesting. And how was it that you discovered that? I'm just really curious. How was it that you came to understand that?
Because my son didn't wake up for 3 weeks. He has it too. And he fall into, but not into a coma. He woke up for like 2-3 hours a day, every day. And then we discovered it for him. And then I realized it, I have it myself.
Interesting. Okay. And you okay, you do a great job of recapping just an action-packed life. There's no question about that. So what would you let's just hone in on one. There's a listener now that is hearing this, a lady, and she's 100 plus pounds overweight. Okay, what would you say to her to encourage her, along the lines of, if I can do it, you can do it? What comes to mind?
So this is the problem with medical conditions that I succeeded to overcome in 7 months, about 7 months. So in 7 months, I lost 85 pounds. Okay. With keto diet and emotional healing. So this is the difference between somebody who only looks at the body and fixes the body, and somebody that fixes the body and fixes the emotion problem, right? The emotional wounding. So when you do those in the same time, you don't gain back the weight. Okay, the medical problem doesn't come back to you. Today, I can climb a mountain in Capri. I did it. Okay, in high heels. Right, I couldn't even walk from the couch to the bathroom. Okay, just for 7 years ago. Right, and today I can climb mountains. Okay, we're going hiking in Iceland next year. Okay, stuff like that. Right. So this is the difference between when you are looking to fix your medical problems. If you don't fix the emotional wounding underneath it that caused the medical problems, the medical problem will come back. But if you fix that emotional wounding, and there are 5 emotional wounds, if you have 3, you're depressed. If you have 5, you're suicidal. If you fix that, then the problems don't come back anymore.
Yeah, and that's, I figured you would have something along those lines as a response, because I've heard it said that you have your physical, your emotional, and your spiritual well-being, and if they're not in balance, then you shouldn't expect to live a healthy and vibrant life, right?
Exactly. And
Um,
most people in depression, they quit on themselves because they don't know how to balance exactly what you mentioned.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. And so what have you seen over the last couple of years as far as your typical client? What changes have you seen in the people that you normally interact with as we're supposedly coming out of this pandemic, and you look back the last 24 months, what comes to mind as far as changes?
The teenagers, the young adults, they come in earlier with signs of depression. My youngest client was 6 years old. We got him out in 3 months. This accelerates now. These young kids don't have patience to figure it out, for example, 2, 3 years to be divorced, or figure out a relationship, or to figure out emotional balance for lifetime, or to figure it out, mindset traps of themselves within, years and decades of suffering. They have no more patience. They get more and more suicidal quicker. Every 40 seconds, somebody dies from suicide on this planet. So this accelerates. So this is exactly why we have that branch in my company where we're trying to prevent this from happening, because it takes longer to fix it. I won't be able to fix 1 million people depressed every year. I can't do that, right? So what we can do, we can prevent this. It takes only 6 weeks, specifically for children, young adults, up to the age of 25. We prevent all this, and then it's way, way better. They're just, living the life they deserve.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And we can transition into that because you just mentioned it. You have a 6 week program for teens, but I just heard you say even up to 25.
Yes.
You have a 6 week program for depression prevention.
For
And
for parents with teenagers with difficulties. That means teenagers angry, anxious, with a lot of anxiety, withdrawn, shy, not listening, disrespectful, that play video games. All these are cries for help. The teenager is crying for help. There is something they're missing. They need something. They need some life skills that the parent either doesn't know how to teach them, doesn't know how to express it, okay? Or maybe they don't know it themselves, right? So all of these are cries for help. So we have that program for parents, not for teenagers. So the
oh, so
parents take,
the
yes,
6 week program is for the parents,
yes,
not for the
because
teens.
it takes 6 weeks for the parent to learn, and it takes 5 minutes for the kid to get
Wow. Wow. That okay. I'm glad you clarified that for me because 6 weeks for the parents, 5 minutes for the teens.
it.
Because the parents then know how to communicate more effectively.
Exactly. And they know exactly what the problem is. And they can take the teen during the cycle of life properly. They understand the teenager now. They know each one what cries for help, what they want. And you just give it to them. Maybe they need relationship skills. Maybe they didn't master relationship. They don't know that there are 4 types of men, 4 types of women in the world and their dynamics. Maybe they haven't mastered their emotions. They haven't mastered their anxiety. They haven't mastered their worry. They haven't mastered their anger. We teach them exactly how to do that. Or maybe they're falling to mind traps that I can't, or I can but, right? Maybe they fall into these mind traps. There are about 17 mind traps that everybody falls into and keeps you stuck in suffering, right? So now the parent knows how to maneuver the kids out of these problems. It's so simple.
That's brilliant. And you've just developed this over the last what 2 years you were saying,
Yes.
right?
So yeah, we had to put it in an online course to help more people at once and to make it extremely, extremely affordable, right? Because if I can only take 2 clients in 6 weeks, that would be very expensive. I charge $500 an hour, right? So like this, we make it extremely affordable to everybody to go through it.
Okay. Okay. And we'll have the information in the show notes also for people to reach out to you and learn more because I know there's going to be a lot of questions that are going to come to you.
And
So
that's okay.
yeah, yeah. So let's talk about your website is Anna Lanier, right? ANALENNYR.com, right?
Yes. And that's
Okay.
hard to spell, Randy. So we have a better one, okay, for the listeners that don't have a pen and paper right now to write on. It's called Better Ask Anna with one N, ANA.com. BetterAskAnna.com. And
Better
on that
ask
website,
Anna with one N.com.
.com. Yeah.
Okay, you
And
can
on
see that
that
I'm
website,
writing it down.
yeah. On that website, we have everything for free. I'm not joking. Everything for free. So there are about 4 mistakes that people do all the time. You have videos about those. Then you have 2 courses for free. One of them for adults depressed, the other one for parents with teenagers depressed. And then we have workshops for free. One of them for parenting difficult teenagers, where I show them the entire formula and how to start maneuvering with child immediately. Don't wait until the child doesn't listen to anything of what you're saying, please. Okay. And the other one for true love secrets and healthy relationships. So everything on that website is for free. We also have a system there. That's why it's called Better Ask Anna with one N.com, where you can ask a question. And you can text us the question, and we're going to answer between 2 to 3 weeks. And we're going to give you a short video or audio file as your answer, and we're going to guide you to the next step. Everything is for free, because you have to understand, Randy, that people who suffer from, emotional wounding, depression, all of these are always being afraid of something, including being afraid of being sold. Okay. And with all due respect, that was me. Okay. Because I was there, right? I was in those branches, right? So, like this, nobody has any kind of excuse not to get the information for living the life they deserve and desire, right?
Right.
They have
Right.
only choices. They have only
Yeah.
choice. There is no excuse. It's for free. You can click on it.
Yeah, and their only investment is their time,
Exactly.
right? But it's taking action, and from those of us in the recovery world, we may have figured out how to not drink or how to not do drugs or how to not, be hooked on the pornography. But what I talk a lot about is how do you now learn to enjoy this new life that you have, or that, as you say, that you deserve, or that you desire.
And
And
that,
so,
that the one that you always knew deep down inside
right,
that you deserve. You always knew deep down inside there is tremendous potential, right? Because I'm looking at myself back in the years, right? I knew I have tremendous potential. If I could get rid of headaches and the pain and the fibromyalgia and all these diseases and all these problems and all this, stuff that was like crippling me down and keeping me down from being great. In the last 7 years or so, I have accomplished more than I have accomplished for 3 generations of my family, right? Just because you can spread your wings and do what you are here on this planet to do. And most people that are suffering from these conditions, they don't even know what they want. They don't even know why they're here, because the pain is too much to
right,
take.
right. The physical pain overcomes the emotional happiness, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So let me talk about one of the programs that I have to offer starting in June. It's not as intense as what Anna's just described to you. We call it the Lifestyle Champion Cohort. We use Zoom technology, and it's a weekly 90-minute meeting where the first 30 minutes is teaching, and then the balance is accountability. It's an 8-week program, and the 3 phases are: first, we evaluate. Where are you? We have an assessment for you to evaluate. Second phase is equip. As Anna was mentioning, we talk about these are the tools that you can use to gain balance in your life. And then the third, as I just mentioned a minute ago, is now that you've got this life change, how do you enjoy life? And that's where the Lifestyle Champion really comes into play. For more information or to get into our database for releases, just text champion to 66866. That's champion to 66866. Okay, so Anna, there's no doubt a parent that is really wondering, because we get this where we get a call to the office that says, why is my kid doing, meth, or why is my kid smoking weed or whatever? So what words of encouragement would you say to that mom or dad that they think they're doing something horribly wrong as a parent? What would you say to encourage them to go to betteraskAnna.com?
So there is that guilt from a parent point of view, right? That, am I a failure, right? Am I a failure as a parent? But this is how the truth works, okay? There's specific life skills that we as parents haven't been taught, right? I mean, my mom didn't know them. If my mom would have known what I know today, I would never be in depression, right? So here is take the time, and sometimes, it's 1 hour of workshop, which is free, okay? Or it's 3.5 hours of a course, right? Which it's in small increments of 5-10 minutes, okay? Take a little bit of time and learn the skills that your child needs for you to be able to be a true role model, but not 1/10 of what if I'm going to make a mistake. Now you get all your questions answered, or the answers even before the problem occurs. So now you're relaxed. You know exactly, you're secure, you're sure of yourself, of what to answer, how to answer, what to do, okay? Because every child that is difficult, has some kind of problems, they're crying for help. They want specific skills. And I explained in the workshop exactly which one wants which skills.
Yeah, and that's the equipping that I just mentioned, right? I mean,
Exactly.
that's there's there's so often as I've had the opportunity to interact with a parent, I'll say, okay, sounds like you want to change. Sounds like you really do genuinely love that child. Why haven't you sought help before? And their responses are always the same. We don't know how.
They don't know how, or they rely on meds, which
Yeah.
actually makes, by the way, any kind of medicine you give to your body, to the body, makes the depression worse, because depression sits in the liver as an emotion. So does the medicine, has to go through the liver, okay? Or they rely on therapists, okay? And here I tell people, no amount of talking ever solved the problem, okay? Also, when your child goes to the therapist, that child is not with you,
Right.
tied up with you. Is going to like
Right.
the therapist more than it likes you. That's not okay, right? So here what we're doing in my company, we're building amazing family relationships. So the child and the parent have to learn from each other, okay? The parent needs to understand the child, not the child needs to understand the parent, okay? If a child doesn't know how to do something, it's because probably the parent didn't know to show him properly, or her, right? So here we put back together the child and the parent. We're building amazing family relationships, and we let the parent be the role model of the child, because that child might get into trouble sooner or later. They have somebody to ask for. Who are they going to go for? The therapist? No, they need to come to you. You need to have the answers.
Right. Yeah. Need to be equipped. They need to have
Exactly.
the
Like, get your
tools.
armor for fight properly,
Yeah.
okay? Get the weapons,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is how
No,
it works.
yeah, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And what were you saying earlier? That one of the stats that I normally share is that overdose deaths have tripled. We're seeing more than 150 overdose deaths per day in the United States. What were you saying? Something about the suicide rate? You shared a statistic that was
Suicide rate is the second cause of death, okay, in United States and all over the world. Every 40 seconds, somebody commits suicide. And
I thought I heard you say
is
every
that,
40
yeah,
seconds, not
every
every
40
40
seconds.
minutes. It's every
No,
40
every 40
seconds.
seconds. So since we've been talking, there are a lot of people who have already committed suicide, right? So here is the truth. There are 5 emotional wounds. 3 of them you're depressed. 5 of them you're suicidal. By the time you get to 5, you cannot listen. You cannot listen. You're like in your own cocoon. Like nothing can break, that. So don't get there, right? But to what you said about the overdose and about the suicide, overdose is just the same thing. It's nothing different,
Right.
right? It's,
Right.
it's still a suicide. It's still a slow death of self, but you're using drugs, and at some point you go too much, right? It's
Right.
it's the same thing. If
Yep.
you look at the cause of both, is emotional pain.
Yes.
So this is why we're trying to prevent teenagers and young adults to get to that emotional pain, to when it's too much for them not to be able to take anymore, right? So if we can prevent that in a few weeks, okay, maybe it doesn't take 6 weeks for you. Maybe you're a slow learner, okay? Maybe it takes 3 months for you as a parent, okay? It's all right. Don't worry about it. If we can prevent that, that's it. We game over. We succeeded to beat these things up, right? To
Right
beat
on.
them out of our lives. Because in the last 20 years, we had therapists, psychologists, pills, and we still have a problem. So clearly, this doesn't work.
Yeah, and
Right?
it is actually worse today than it was 20 years
Exactly.
ago, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So because it's exactly what we talked about at the beginning, Randy, an accelerated generation that want the results now, that they don't want to stay in suffering anymore, but they're ready. Just tell me what I need to do to make it in my life properly. Not to end up divorced, not to end up heartbroken, not to end up with problems, okay? Just tell me what to do. And they follow. You'll be surprised. They follow advice.
Yeah. They just want someone to demonstrate to them, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
The be the role model, as you just said.
exactly.
So,
Exactly.
all right, it's hard to believe
Parent
we're
is the
about
perfect role model. You don't need somebody else's role model. You don't need me. You
right.
don't need a therapist. You don't need a gang member to be a role model for them. You don't need bad people to be a role model. You, as a parent, you just need to get equipped.
And need the tools. This is
Ex-
what you just said. Be equipped. Okay, hard to believe we need to wrap up here. So as we've just been talking, folks, if you know someone who's struggling today, or maybe you're that person who's struggling or battling depression or emotional behavior, compulsive destructive behaviors, please don't wait another day to seek help. And you can call my office. It's 321-757-HOPE. I'd be more than happy to pass you along to Anna or others in our network. Or if you're not comfortable reaching out to us, call someone you know and trust, because those who are dying today are husbands, wives, sons, and daughters of someone who loves them. So today's the day. And I do hope you found this information helpful today. You can look for the replay of this to be on the usual podcast online outlets like Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and others. And it just as a word of encouragement as we wrap up, what would you say to that teen who's just can't figure out why his or her parents just don't get it today? What would you say to that teenager?
okay, it's possible to get out. Okay, so don't go overboard now in thinking that there is something wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. You just didn't get the right skills.
Wow, wow, great words. Okay, Anna, thank you so much. You've been an awesome guest, and to our listeners, have a blessed day and be extraordinary today.